Abhavasimha let out a furious roar and dived at Dharanidhar and Kanvar. Dharanidhar chuckled. I love fighting them when they're in a blind fury. He stayed hunched and tense while Abhavasimha sped straight down. His great jaws opened wide to sink into Kanvar and tear him from Dharanidhar's back. Still Dharanidhar waited. Kanvar ducked as Abhavasimha's teeth came toward him. Abhavasimha flared his wings just as his jaws snapped shut. Instead of taking to the air, Dharanidhar rolled onto his back, jerking Kanvar out of Abhavasimha's jaws and almost crushing him in order to rake his hind legs down Abhavasimha's chest with a horrible sound of shattering scales and tearing flesh. Abhavasimha wheeled aside before the claws could sink in deep enough to kill him. His sudden movement tilted him into the ground, and Dharanidhar leapt on him, snapping his jaws toward Abhavasimha's throat. Abhavasimha used the momentum of his fall to whip Dharanidhar off him before Dharanidhar's teeth could do more than graze the scales that protected his throat. The unexpected movement left Kanvar dizzy, and he lost sight of Abhavasimha, who launched into the air while Kanvar blinked and tried to get his bearings. Dharanidhar let out a frustrated growl. He'd had his enemy in his clutches and could have finished it if Kanvar hadn't faltered. Dharanidhar leapt into the air. The battle would be harder to win now. Shaken, Kanvar clutched the vines that held him to Dharanidhar's back. He was not used to twisting and turning and fighting dragon style. Human bodies didn't move like that. Dharanidhar rumbled his understanding of Kanvar's difficulty. But it couldn't be helped. If Kanvar could not adapt, Abhavasimha would triumph. Dharanidhar jerked into another spin as the two dragons met in mid-air. Their claws raked each other, but neither could hit the death points. Abhavasimha broke off, went higher, and circled again. He sucked in a deep breath, igniting his fires. What's he doing? Dharanidhar's mind flashed. It would be a fatal waste of energy to breathe fire on a fellow blue dragon. It would bounce harmlessly off his scales. Spin! Kanvar screamed at him. Dharanidhar's body responded instantly to Kanvar's command. He spun away, and the flames licked his shoulder. I'm not fireproof. My armor isn't good enough to repel blue fire up close, Kanvar corrected him. Abhavasimha has figured out he doesn't have to kill you, Kanvar said. He just has to kill me. A shock of fear went through Kanvar. Dharanidhar hadn't realized it, but it was true. He had a new death point. One unguarded by scales or claws. Mounted on the back of his neck, Kanvar was an easy target. Dharanidhar cursed as Abhavasimha dove at Kanvar. To protect Kanvar, Dharanidhar had to roll again. Abhavasimha anticipated his move, and struck as Dharanidhar's chest came up. He clawed for Dharanidhar's heart, tearing the scales from Dharanidhar's chest and digging into flesh. Dharanidhar pushed Abhavasimha off him and flapped clear. Kanvar felt a burn in his chest and blood seep under his jacket. Abhavasimha blew another burst of fire, forcing Dharanidhar to retreat farther, licking his chest while keeping Kanvar safe. Abhavasimha came at them again while Dharanidhar's head was down, staunching the wound. Dharanidhar flared and lifted his back legs to tear at Abhavasimha, who turned at the last moment and threw his whole momentum against Dharanidhar's left wing. The newly healed bone snapped. Dharanidhar spun around and started to fall. Kanvar screamed. Dharanidhar let out an echoing roar. He put all his strength into a flap of his right wing that spun him around. He reached out with both his foreclaws and hind legs and latched onto Abhavasimha, pulling him down with him. Abhavasimha clamped his jaws around Dharanidhar's neck. Kanvar gasped. He could only breathe in the barest trickle of air. Abhavasimha flapped to slow their fall. He had a death grip on Dharanidhar now. Though Dharanidhar struggled, Abhavasimha's jaws were locked in place, and Dharanidhar could not break their hold. In turn, Dharanidhar refused to give up the grip he had on Abhavasimha, knowing Abhavasimha could not keep both of them in the air for long. You'll die first, Abhavasimha's victoriously smug voice sounded in Dharanidhar's mind. Dharanidhar did not respond. His oxygen-starved mind slipped beyond rationality into livid bloodlust. He twisted his body to try to tear out Abhavasimha's guts, though it put pressure on his trapped neck. Kanvar's left leg slammed into Abhavasimha's chest. The scent of dragon blood gagged him as it seeped from the cuts Dharanidhar had made in the opening throes of the battle. Kanvar put his hand on Abhavasimha's chest and shoved, hoping to free his leg, but neither dragon felt it. Both had forgotten for a moment about the boy. Kanvar looked down. Though Abhavasimha's wings slowed their descent, the ground continued to rise up to meet them. Kanvar tried to breathe, but the great pressure on Dharanidhar's neck threatened to break it. I will not die like this, Kanvar fumed. If he died, Dharanidhar would die, and so would Devaj. Kanvar reached over his shoulder and unlatched his crossbow. Such a flimsy wooden weapon in the face of the massive dragon. He leaned over and cocked the bow. Spots fluttered across his eyesight, his lungs burned for air, and a ringing filled his ears. Holding the crossbow with his right hand, he forced the clumsy fingers and thumb on the stub of his left arm to pull one of the bolts from its fastening. His arm refused to move at first, and Kanvar realized it had broken along with Dharanidhar's wing. Gritting his teeth against the pain, Kanvar managed to pull out one of the bolts. Just as he got the bolt free, Dharanidhar got a claw into Abhavasima's gut. Abhavasima spun, trying to loosen Dharanidhar's hold while still crushing Dharanidhar's throat. The bolt slipped from Kanvar's fingers and fell. Dharanidhar gasped. The spin allowed him one more breath of air before Abhavasima clamped down again, crushing and grinding his throat. Kanvar accepted the last breath of air into his lungs. He clutched the crossbow with his right hand, though Abhavasima's blood made the stock slippery. One more time he forced his painful left arm to reach for a crossbow bolt. This time he got hold of it, pulled it free, brought it around to the crossbow, and tried to slide it into the track. His clumsy fingers lost their grip, and the bolt skittered away. Crushed between two grappling blue dragons, starved for air, in agony from his broken arm, Kanvar tumbled from the sky with the dragons. The sapphire lake spread into view below him. The willpower of both dragons' minds dazed him. Neither would let go. Neither give up. Both on the verge of death, but Abhavasima had the upper hand. Though Dharanidhar tore at him, he would not relinquish his hold on Dharanidhar's neck. Kanvar reached for his last bolt. Like the dragons, he would die with the fight still in it. He pinched the bolt between his fingers and thumb, pulled it from its fastening and brought it around. The ringing in his ears returned, and his eyesight went fuzzy, but this time he managed to slide the bolt into the track. He lifted the crossbow, shaking, desperate, and aimed at a cut where Dharanidhar had torn the scales free in a gash across Abhavasima's chest. Kanvar pulled the trigger, releasing the bolt into Abhavasima as he plunged with the dragons into the lake.